Welcome back to the second video of this advanced Excel course. In this video, we're going to learn about conditional formatting. Now, if you remember from our introduction to Excel course, we talked about conditional formatting there as well. This video is going to build on that knowledge and add a little bit more nuance to it. Now, if you look at this data that I have here, this data has the data of a number of schools, about 30 schools. I have their block, district, the UDICE code, and the management that they are under, along with their enrollment figures, enrollment by gender, enrollment by social category, and the number of male and female teachers, along with, of course, the total enrollment and the total teachers. Now, you see, I have done certain conditional formatting here already. And now I have 5 questions here. Let's zoom in on these questions. My questions are, I want to highlight the schools which have more girls than boys. And I want to highlight schools with more than 35 boys. And I want to highlight schools that have no male or female teacher or no teacher at all. And I want schools that have at least one SC/ST student. Okay, now how do we do this? First, let me just clear all the formatting that I've added here. The way to do that, I'll just go to this eraser button and click on clear formats. See, all of my conditional formatting is now gone. Now, my first question was, research question, let's call it, is to find schools with more girls than boys. What I'll do for that is, I'll just select all my girls enrollment rows and I'll go here on the conditional formatting button. This is in the home tab on your Excel screen. So you click on conditional formatting. Now you have some predefined functions here, but what we want to do for that, we need to define a custom rule. The way to do that is that we'll click on new rule, and let me just move this here so we can see it. And the style we'll use will be classic, and we'll use a formula to determine which cells to format. So let me do that again just so you remember how can we use formulas when using conditional formatting. I'll first select all the rows in the girls enrollment column because I want to find those rows here in which the value of the girls enrollment is more than the value of the boys enrollment. So I'll select this and then I'll go to conditional formatting, new rule, and the style will be classic, and this option will be a formula. And the way to do that now is that we just have to compare. I'll click here first. What I want to compare is that you see the plus sign has now changed, and as I go over the cell, the value changes on this little box on the right hand side. So I want that this value has to be greater than this value. Okay, and it should be highlighted in green color. That's what I want. And I click OK, but nothing happened. Why? Is there no row in this entire data where the girls enrollment is more than the boys enrollment? Or is there an error in our function? Well, if you look here, this row should have been highlighted because here the girls enrollment is 24, which is more than the boys enrollment, which is 21. So clearly there's an error in our formula. So how do we fix that error? I'll select the rows again. I'll go to conditional formatting, but this time I'll click on manage rules. What manage rules does is it shows you a box with all the rules that are currently applied. So this is the rule that we had just defined. This is the formula. And I'll click on edit rule. Now, what I want is that J2 should be greater than I2. And that is what it says. But you see these dollar signs here? What these dollar signs do is that they fix that column or row value. So the difference between, let me just go back to show you the difference. Let's take this cell here, okay? I'm going to zoom in on it. This cell is J31, as you can see here, J31. Now, if you write J31, it will refer to this cell, okay? But if you write $J31, what it will do is that it will still refer to this cell, but when you use it in a formula, it will fix that column. So column J is fixed because J is preceded by a dollar sign. And similarly, if you do $J $31, then both your row and column are fixed. And instead, if you do $31, then your column is free, but your row is fixed. Now, how does that work? For that, let's go back to a conditional formatting and you'll see how it works. I'll select my girls rows again and I'll click on manage rules and I'll edit this rule. And here, what I want to do here is that this formula should be applied to all of these rows in the J column. So my column has to be fixed, but my rows doesn't have to be fixed. So what I'll do is simply I'll remove this dollar sign from in front of the number 2. Now, if you remember this, what I just showed you here, a dollar sign before J means that the column is fixed. But because 2, which is the row number, is written without a dollar sign, then that row number can be variable. Now if I click OK and OK again, you see my formula worked and all of the rows that I needed have automatically gotten highlighted. Let's do it again, but this time we'll do it from the other way around. Since we just want to find out schools that have more girls than boys, we could also do it by selecting all the boys rows and then using a formula by setting, let's just do it, new rule, classic, use a formula. And let me just move this. What I'll do here is that this has to be less than this. And again, we'll remove the dollar sign from the rows and let's just highlight it in red for now. And I'll click OK. And there you go. It's the same formula, but we have done it in 2 different ways. And we get the same end result. So that's one way of using conditional formatting. Now the next one is schools with more than 35 boys. Now the way to do that is very easy. We'll just go back to conditional formatting, manage the rules, and we'll edit this rule so that these values are more than 35. And again, we'll remember to remove the dollar sign from the rows and we'll highlight all these schools, let's say in yellow. And we'll click OK. And there you go. All the schools that have more than 35 boys are now highlighted in yellow. Now let's look at this third one that we have here, which says schools with 0 male or female teachers. Now that data is over here. Now this time what I'll do is I'll apply the conditional formatting to all of these 3 columns, right? And how I will do that is that I'll click on the conditional formatting. And here, because I just want the values that are the values that are equal to 0. So I'll just use a predefined function here, which is highlight cells that are equal to 0. And yes, highlight them in red. I click OK and there you go. So this school has no male teachers, this school has no female teachers, this and this as well. But this school has no male, no female, so there's just no teacher in this school at all, right? We have been able to simply identify this school so quickly just by using conditional formatting. And we could do the same thing. This time we're looking at schools with at least one SC or ST student. Now this one is going to be interesting because we'll have to use a formula inside our formula. Now how do we do it? We want to highlight the schools where the SC or ST is at least 1. Now what that means is the sum of SC and ST has to be greater than 0. We want to highlight those rows. Now how do we do that? The way to do that is we'll select this, we'll go to conditional formatting, we'll create a new rule, classic, and use a formula. And what our formula is going to do is first we're going to put the equal sign and we'll say the sum of this to this is greater than 0. Now again, we'll remove the dollar sign from the rows and let's highlight this in green. We click OK, and there you go. All of our schools actually have at least one SC/ST student. Now, let's say we want the sum to be a little bit more than that, not just one. We want it to be more than, let's say, 15, for example. So I'll just go back to conditional formatting and I'll manage my rules, edit it, and instead of being greater than 0, I'll say greater than 15. I'll click OK, and see my formula is automatically updated. And as you remember from conditional formatting, even if the data changes, it continues to apply. So over here, if you see, the girls enrollment here is 20, and we have highlighted all the rows where it is more than 35. So sorry, we have highlighted all the rows where it is more than boys. So 20 and 25. If we make this 30, it will automatically get highlighted. So the conditional formatting runs in the background. As you update your data, it automatically keeps getting updated. Now, if you try to combine this knowledge with data validation, what you can do is that when you're giving a sheet for data entry to someone, you can use data validation to ensure that their values that they enter are exactly how you need them to be. So the numbers are numbers, and your block and district and other text figures are exactly the way you want them to be. And if you already add the conditional formatting to the blank cells, then as they enter data, the data will automatically start getting highlighted the way you want it to be. It can be very interesting. You should definitely think about it and try to come up with it on your own. And I hope to see you in the next video.